Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Marie Holiday, and I hope everybody had a great day today. Today is Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. And before we get into this segment, I just want to remind my subscribers and viewers to hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and hit that notification button. I want to thank my viewers and subscribers for supporting and following my channel. So with that being said, let's get on down to the next topic. The focus of this segment is I'm going to talk about a total of 9 indicators of gambling addiction. 9 indicators of gambling addiction. So pay attention. But before I go into those 9 indicators, I first want to describe what I mean by gambling addiction or gambling disorder. First of all, gambling addiction or gambling disorder is defined as any persistent and recurring problematic gambling behavior that causes distress and impairs a person's overall livelihood. And it tends to affect males more than females, according to research. Although there is a gender gap, but recently over the years that gender gap has decreased. Gambling disorder is a behavioral addiction that can be effectively treated using a range of cognitive behavior therapy. The other ways they treat it is they have the person go to support groups, get counseling. There's a whole lot of 1-800 numbers a person can call to seek out different places to go get treatment. So that's a description of what gambling addiction or gambling disorder is. And I want to briefly give a description of the different types of gambling. It's casino gambling, shooting dice, playing card games, gambling at casinos, online gambling, betting on the races, bingos, scratch-offs. All of that is considered gambling. Betting on sports, all of that is considered gambling. So now, let's talk about these 9 indicators of gambling addiction or gambling disorder. Number 1, needing to gamble using increasing amounts of money to achieve that desired rush and excitement. So that person is going to need more increasing amounts of money in order to achieve that desired rush and excitement, but it don't last long. And the vicious cycle continues over and over again, trying to achieve that desired rush and excitement. Number 2 indicator, feeling restless or irritable when trying to reduce or stop the gambling. The person begins to feel restless or irritable when trying to reduce or stop gambling. They recognize that the gambling is getting out of hand. They're finding themselves, they may have started out gambling 1 or 2 days a week. Now it's 5 or 6 days a week, and it's escalating out of control. So they feel restless or irritable if they try to tailor down on that, but it doesn't last. Indicator number 3, inability to control, reduce, or quit gambling despite repeated attempts. Inability to control, reduce, or quit gambling despite numerous repeated attempts. They tried, didn't work. They tried, it didn't work. They made a New Year's resolution, it didn't work. So it's numerous repeated attempts that they've tried, and it just doesn't work. Indicator number 4, preoccupation. Number 4, the person has preoccupation with gambling, such as devising ways to get more gambling money and reliving past gambling experiences. They're thinking about times when they gambled, may have won. They can be at work and just reliving that event in their mind over and over and over again, almost like a mental obsession. They'll begin to always think about ways to get more money in order to gamble. They maybe realize, man, I'm getting low on my money. I know I want to gamble when I get off work. So they begin to devise ways to get more money in order to feed that gambling addiction to the point it becomes an obsession. Indicator number 5. Gambling when experiencing feelings of distress, helplessness, guilt, anxiety, and depression. So when any of these type of feelings begin to creep up, what a gambling addict would do, they would gamble more in order to relieve these symptoms, but it doesn't work. So and then they promise themselves they may not wanted to gamble today, but they end up gambling anyway. Then they feel guilty and they gamble again because they feel guilty. They start getting depressed, so they depressed. What they do is gamble, and then they get even more depressed and they begin to gamble more, and it's just a vicious cycle. So gambling when experiencing feelings of distress, helplessness, guilt, anxiety, and depression. But the problem is the gambling, but they just don't know it, so they think they can fix these problems by more gambling. Indicator number 6. The person will begin to start chasing after their losses to get even after losing money from gambling. Basically, they lost money and they can't leave that casino because in their mind they got to tell themselves, or they telling themselves, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not leaving until I win my money back. They ain't winning it back. They're losing. So now they're chasing after their loss to get even after losing the money from gambling. They're going to get even with that casino. They're going to get even with that convenience store where they keep going buying all those scratch-offs and losing their money because in their mind they're telling themselves, I got to get my money back no matter what. So they're chasing it. They're literally chasing it. Indicator number 7. The person who has the gambling addiction, they begin to tell lies to conceal the severity of the gambling behavior and their addiction. They can be in a relationship, married, have a significant other, and there are situations where that significant other may not even be aware that the person got the gambling addiction because they go to great extreme to conceal, to hide the severity of their gambling problems and their addiction to gambling until it blows literally out of control. Literally. But by the time it's revealed to the significant other, of the loved one, of the family, the severity and scope of the problem is astronomical. Indicator number 8. Loss of personal relationship, job, educational pursuit due to the gambling. I'm going to say that again. Now the person who has the gambling addiction has lost personal relationships, job, and educational pursuit due to gambling. Because now they work, when I talked about number 7, they work long and hard to conceal it, but now when these problems begin to surface, it's going to begin to impact their relationship, their job, school. I've known situations where marriages have been destroyed because one of the significant others found out the severity of the person gambling addiction. Jobs have been lost. There are people who have been so deep in their gambling addiction, still from the employer. There are people who have been so deep in their gambling addiction, if they're in school, that it affects their GPA, and all of that begins to crumble, and it begins to impact the job, the school, and the home. Indicator number 9. Relying on others to provide money to resolve financial situations caused by the gambling, such as threat of eviction because they done lost all their money, they done gamble up all their bill money, so now they hadn't paid their rent of the mortgage, so they about to get evicted. So now they may go try to borrow that money from family member, or it can be a light bill or a car note or a cell phone bill or food for the kids. So that money's gone. So now they begin to rely on family and friends to pull them out of financial situations caused by their gambling. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the 9 indicators of gambling or addiction. Real quick, number 1, the person is going to begin to need to use increasing amount of money to achieve that desired rush and excitement. Indicator number 2, feeling restless and irritable when they attempt to reduce or stop the gambling. Indicator number 3, inability to control, reduce, or to quit gambling despite numerous repeated attempts. Indicated number 4, preoccupation with gambling, preoccupied with the money they're going to get in order to gamble, just preoccupied with everything centered around gambling. They can be at work, their mind ain't on work, their mind is preoccupied on, I can't wait until it get 5 o'clock so I can hurry up and go get some scratch offs or go to the casino. Indicator number 5, gambling when experiencing feelings of distress or hopelessness. So what they do, they will gamble in order to relieve those symptoms. Indicator number 6, chasing after their losses. After they don't lost so much money, they tell themselves, I can't go home, I can't leave until I recoup my money. Indicator number 7, which is critical, lying, telling lies to conceal the severity of the gambling addiction. Indicator number 8, loss of personal relationships, job, academic, etc. Indicator number 9, relying on others to pull them out of financial situation because they've lost all their money to gambling. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that these indicators of gambling addiction can also create financial destruction. And as I talked about earlier on the front end, if a person got these indicators going on, as I talked about, there's help out there for these problems. You can go to a counselor, there's support groups, there's 1-800 numbers that people can call to get treatment and help for gambling addiction. So with that being said, that's all I have. In the very near future, I'm going to upload a couple more videos that ties into gambling addiction. I'm going to go a little bit more into depth and breadth in terms about the types of treatment out there for gambling addiction. There's a lot of help for that, so be on the lookout for that. So with that being said, Simplify. Hope you all have a great evening. See you again soon.